Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kari and today I will talk about The Maze Runner. This year I decided to reread the first two books in the trilogy because I previously read them like more than 4 years ago. I never finished the trilogy, I never read The Dead Cure, but this time I did, so now I will talk about it with you. How can I describe Maze Runner? It is about a bunch of teenagers that are trapped inside a maze. So inside the maze they have this civilization. They live sort of normal lives there, but they are always trying to escape because they have no memories of what happened in their lives before the maze. That premise is very interesting and intriguing, and hopefully it will make you want to read the books in case you haven't. I have to acknowledge that I love the movie, so of course I will be comparing the books a little to the movies. Of course, as always, I will divide this video into sections and I will leave all the timestamps in the description below. First, let's talk about The Maze Runner. I have here my Spanish edition and I love it. That's the only one I have, and I'm actually glad because now rereading them, it's my favorite. This book and this story has a great premise and a great cast of characters. That was one of the most amazing things about the story. Of course, here we have the chosen one trope, like in many other books, because Thomas was here like the miracle boy, which can be very frustrating for some people. It kind of was for me, but at the same time I love Thomas, so I really didn't mind. We have to talk about Newt in this book, and I have to say that from the beginning he was so protective with Thomas. He wanted to keep him safe and happy, and that was so cute. But also I have to say that Newt wasn't very relevant. Like, he wasn't in many scenes during this book. I thought that he was going to have a huge role like in the movies, and he didn't. Now, talking about the relationships, Thomas and Teresa was just a big no for me. I never liked them. It was just something weird in my opinion. In the book we always kind of get the feeling that this is romantic and that they are gonna be like the main couple, which I don't agree with. I really don't like them together. So now let's talk a little bit more about spoilers. All of this is about spoilers because it's a trilogy review, but let's dive into more spoilers. So the maps. I really like the story about the maps that wasn't in the movie. That was one disappointment. I remember when I read the book and then watched the movie, I was like, each section of the maps revealed a letter that was part of the code, and that then they have to enter that in the Griever's pit, which was kind of weird, and the movie kind of did it justice. I don't know, I need to rewatch the movies. I will. But that part in the books was amazing for me, one of the best things. So then we have all the deaths and sacrifices, which are very sad. This book, you know what I'm talking about sadness in this book. First, let's talk about how Albie burned the maps, which was really shocking. I didn't remember that. And also he sacrifices himself, and he actually is the one who dies instead of a lot of people that with Thomas's plan were going to die. So he was a real hero. And the other death that of course was so sad for me and not fair at all was Chuck's death. He was so cute and he was so friendly and kind to Thomas, and actually Thomas was kind of mean at the beginning, but then he appreciated Chuck, and then Chuck dies. Poor Thomas, because he started suffering from here and then it doesn't stop. The last things about this book that I loved was one quote that Teresa says to Thomas, which is weird because I don't like them, but this quote was amazing, and it is that Thomas says, "Holy crap, I'm scared." And then Teresa answers, "Holy crap, you are human. You should be scared." That was amazing. I had to stop reading and just process that quote because it's great. And last thing is that it was so great when they were at the end and they didn't know what push meant, and it literally just meant push. That was amazing. Chuck was amazing, and I just can't get over his death. I noticed that I didn't say anything about Minho, and it is because here I just got to know him. I loved him from the beginning, but there weren't many things, many highlights about him. I just know that I loved his character, but I just needed more time with him. So yeah, as a conclusion for this book, it was great. It is my favorite from the trilogy. I think it's brilliant. The premise is brilliant and the execution is great. How they escape is just wonderful and the characters are amazing. Now let's talk about the Scorch Trials. I don't have the other books, so I will put a picture here so you can see the cover. With this book, I just noticed how they are happy just for a day, like a normal teenager life, and then everything is ruined. One thing that I didn't remember from the first time I read the book was the tattoos. So this time I was surprised by that. I really like that, although I didn't even know how they were going to play out. And spoiler alert, they don't, kind of. But it was just a great, shocking reveal that I loved. Here, Teresa is not around for many chapters because she gets separated from the group, which was great for me. I don't really like Teresa. I don't know why. It's just that her presence makes me angry. So that's why I really enjoyed that she wasn't here. Here, Ming-Ho really shines because he now has the part of the leader and he is a really great leader. He really knows how to take care of the group and I just love that. The pacing of the book was also great, and one thing that was really funny for me but bad for them is that they weren't even outside of the complex when they were attacked by these huge metal balls that practically cut their heads, which was very extreme for me. I didn't remember that. It was intriguing and great, but it was just too much for them. Like, those kids are traumatized. Continuing with the plot, I have to say that this book was not as great as the first one in terms of the storyline for me. I felt the beginning was great, almost up to the middle, because it was building up and I was really invested, and then everything gets weird, but in a way that I didn't really like. So Teresa appears out of nowhere and she kisses Thomas and acts weird and says that he has to trust her, which I don't. I don't trust Teresa at all. And I was always thinking, Thomas, don't trust her, don't love her. I mean, why? Why do you do this to yourself? Teresa is just a bad person in a bad relationship for you. I don't know if some people ship them. This is not about you, but I just don't care about them. I don't like them. But yeah, Teresa appears and kisses Thomas, then acts a little weird and gives him a warning, and then she just goes away. Pretty much that sentence is a very Teresa thing. We get to know two characters, which are Brenda and Jorge, and I love them. I mean, they are great secondary characters, and I just think Brenda was amazing and so much better for Thomas. It's not that I ship her with Thomas. I also think that these books are not about the romance, and I'm okay with that. I don't like romance books, but I think they work better than Teresa and Thomas. Another thing that I didn't remember was that poor Thomas killed a crank, and he feels like shit. And that is just so bad. I mean, I told you that Thomas was going to suffer and suffer and suffer yet again, and this is real. That's the thing that happens, and I'm just so sad and I feel so bad for him that he's always trying but still everything just falls apart around him. It's so sad. As I said before, I didn't like the ending. The whole thing about Teresa and Aries and Wicked. I mean, I get that it can be very intriguing, but I remember that that was the reason that I stopped reading the trilogy, and it was because the ending of the second book was just not for me. I thought that it was gonna be better this time, and it wasn't. I still did finish the trilogy because I wanted to know how things play out in the books, but no. And let me say, the first book and the first movie weren't that different. Like, the beginning was almost the same, but this book, The Scorch Trials, with the movie was just a very different thing. And I guess I like that. I like that contrast. I mean, I don't think adaptation should be the same, and I think The Scorch Trials movie works just fine on its own, and this book wasn't my favorite thing. I mean, it was great, but in the middle, I just didn't really like it. And now let's talk about The Dead Cure. I don't even know what I thought about this book yet. The first thing that came to my mind was how different this was from the movie. As I said, I was comparing them because the movies are the main source of the story that I knew before. Well, of the third book, because the other ones I read them, so I had some details in my memory, but this book was the first time that I read it, and very different experience. The movie is another thing. Now that Thomas was captured by Wicked at the end of the Scorch Trials, which was weird, I repeat, I didn't like that whole thing. Then they are all together in Wicked and they give them the choice of having their memories back, which is something that I wanted because Thomas always had trouble with that. He kind of remembered pieces, but I felt like he needed to see the full picture. And actually, a lot of them want their memories back. Teresa and Aries and all of them, except for Thomas, Minho, and Newt, which was a little bit disappointing. I mean, I get it, but I just wanted them to have their memories. Even Frypan got his memories back, so why didn't you guys? And here, yet again, I hate Teresa. That's just my relationship with her. We don't get along. Let's talk about how Brenda and Jorge were with Wicked all the time. That reveal makes me think that nothing is real at all because they were supposed to be fighting with them and helping them. And there were many things that were discussed in the Scorch Trials that would have been solved if Jorge and Brenda were honest about themselves. I get that that wasn't the point and that obviously they were with Wicked, so they had to act. But I didn't like that. I prefer the movie version of that in which they are actually Thomas's friends. And also they are immune, just like Thomas and practically everyone except for Newt. Poor Newt, in this book, he was only suffering. Like, he became Thomas. But no, Thomas was also suffering. So now we have both characters suffering. And Minho too. Like, all of them. The fact that at the beginning, actually, the Ratman says that Newt is not immune is really weird. Because in the movie, we get, you know, that shocking reveal. And here, they just tell you, like, you know something bad is going to happen to him, but you keep thinking that they are going to find the cure. So it was just really weird for me to hear it at the beginning and for them to all know it and just kind of be expecting that. I think that wasn't very great for the audience to know at that time. So then everyone escapes, but they escape separately. So Teresa and the other ones go before them, and then Thomas, Newt, and Minho, and Brenda and Jorge go together, which was great because I like that group. The whole thing about the city and the cranks and the virus was just very depressing. I kept thinking about COVID. It was just crazy. They mentioned people wearing masks so they didn't get the virus. They mentioned obviously the pandemic and how fast the virus was spreading from person to person. This is the world we're living in, and I wasn't ready for that. Like, it was just too real. It felt too real. This was supposed to be a fantasy dystopian, and now it's reality. That was just so weird. Also, I have to say that I fell in love with Minho. In this book, he was amazing. I loved everything he did. I kind of want to say that he was the best character because Thomas made some debatable decisions during this book, and I think Minho was always very great. Like, I got to know him in the first book and was just okay, and then he was brilliant, and now he is amazing. He is, I guess, my favorite character. Which also leads me to talk about Newt and the contrast from the movie Newt and the book Newt. I didn't love Newt here in the book as much as in the movie. That is because his part is way more relevant in the movies and because of the actor. But I didn't really connect with Newt here. I noticed that I didn't talk about Gally, which, I mean, in the movie was just a huge, shocking reveal that I loved, and here in the book was just okay. Gally in the book wasn't very great for me, and also in the movie was great because of the actor, but here I didn't feel that. The twist about him and the right arm were great, actually. I really liked them, but they weren't very important for me. Like, they didn't stay in my mind for long. It was great for the plot, but just that. So one shocking thing about this is that they go back to the maze, to the actual maze, and that was great because the story comes full circle and it was amazing. That didn't happen in the movies, and here it was very well executed because everything was crumbling down and they had to go back to the place where everything started. So Thomas saves Teresa from a griever. I was like, this was supposed to be her death, but Thomas saved her, so now she's going to live, and I was very disappointed. I didn't want that at all. I just think that Teresa's death is very poetic in the movie, and so I was expecting that. And then that happens. It really happened, and poor Thomas, because he was thinking like, I can't lose another friend after Chuck and after Newt especially, which was very fresh in his mind. I felt really bad for Thomas, but I just wanted Teresa to die. Like, I didn't care about her, but that hurt Thomas, so it was bittersweet, I guess. I have to mention that Newt's death was handled very differently than in the movie. And one thing that I preferred the movie a lot more, and that here was just a problem for me, was that here in the book Thomas was alone when it happened, and he says that he's never going to say anything to Minho, which for me is just not great. Like, Minho is his friend, and I guess it would have been better, like in the movie, to actually be together so they could grieve together and just talk about Newt. But now Thomas is going to have that in his mind forever, and talking about Newt with Minho is gonna be just horrible for him, and horrible for Minho not to know the truth. Of course it will be shocking, and maybe he will get mad at Thomas, but he would understand eventually, and I just really wanted that connection between them, because that's one of the best friendships of the books. So that's why I got mad. I got mad about that. Now let's talk about the ending, because I think you either love it or hate it, and I think I hated it, although I'm not sure. But yeah, mostly I hated it. So the ending for Thomas is them just landing in this little beach and apparently starting a new civilization, a new life, and he stays with Brenda. But then there's a wicked memorandum at the end, and when I saw that I screamed, because it felt like everything was being controlled by Wicked still, like all the choices and all the destruction. I understand that that can be great, and of course the other two books end with a Wicked memorandum, so I should have expected that, right? But I didn't. And then we learned that after the sun flares, Wicked was the one who spread the virus to reduce population and to have a better control of the world. And then it got out of hand, and everyone was just transforming into a weird kind of zombie. Well, not exactly a zombie, but you know. And then Wicked just made this whole experiment torturing kids to solve practically nothing, because they accomplished nothing. Well, of course, Eva says that they accomplished that the human race is going to survive, and they are going to have a new civilization, even though everyone else is dead or is going to die as cranks. But I mean, I can't decide if that was brilliant or if I'm mad about it and was so bad. Please tell me, if you have read the trilogy, what did you think about the ending? Because I still don't know what I think about it. The last line of the book is just a line that we are constantly told by my dear friend Teresa, and it is that Wicked is good. And once I read it, I was like, no, Wicked is bad. Wicked is not good. Why? I mean, no. Even if Thomas and company are alive and they will live like a happier life now, although they are very traumatized, none of that justifies what they did, and just Wicked is not good. That was just a line that the writer put there to create conflict in the readers. So maybe some readers are going to say that was amazing and brilliant, and some readers are going to react more like me. It was very frustrating for me, that last Wicked memorandum actually, but the whole book was an experience. That's what I can say. Now, as a conclusion for the whole trilogy, I really recommend you to read it. It is a great story, and it has amazing characters, plot twists that will blow your mind, and a very unique plot. Like, it's really weird. And if you read it now, knowing about what happened with COVID and the world and the pandemic, it will really be an experience. All of the books are good, actually, are not bad, but my favorite is still the first one. Well, that was it for today's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it, and thank you if you are still here, because this is a long video, I know, but I just wanted to talk about everything, tell you all of my thoughts so we can discuss them. Please leave me a comment with your thoughts about this trilogy, about each book, and your favorite characters. Anything that you want to tell me, just write it in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I upload content about movies, books, and TV shows every week. Here on the screen, I will be putting more videos for you to check out, and I will see you next time.